Wow, Stina, we're almost at the end of the Service Design Global Conference in Dublin. How are you feeling?
Whoa, my brains are still super active, thinking about all the amazing talks and workshops we have been doing. It was really great again.
Yeah, it's indeed surprising how every year, again, a conference just about service design manages to touch new topics, give new inspiration. I'm really happy again to be here.
Yeah, me too, because I was actually, before we got here, I was like, should we go to, as service designers, every year to a service design conference, or should we explore new fields? But I'm really happy that we were here, because on the one hand you have some familiar things that give you a feeling of, okay, we're doing quite good stuff, but on the other hand you get really challenged with new topics and new things that you can implement in your job, make your job better. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I must say I do also enjoy running into familiar faces here. I mean, the more often we come, the more familiar faces. Many people we've had in our interviews in previous episodes. It's really great to get to see them live. So just the social part really is great here, I think.
Yeah, indeed. And it's good that they also make some time for that. So a lot of networking opportunities and a lot of people that are willing to join the podcast again and to give some nice insights that they have. So we had a lot of interviews actually with a lot of, I would say, service design rock stars that we all have in one episode. So I'm very, very excited about that.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be really fun to hear all the kinds of people that have been here on the ground, and it's always surprising. You just walk up to somebody, start a conversation, and before you know it, you're getting into a really inspiring topic and really get your brain juices flowing. What would you say were some of the recurring themes that you've picked up during this conference?
One thing which there was one talk about jobs in the future, but it was actually something which a lot of people talked about, how we as service designer can help in designing jobs, because we're actually, when we're coming up with new services, we always have an impact on people's jobs, and we should play a role in that. And that was, I think, an interesting topic that reoccurred, and that also some people gave really solutions to. Like you can, for example, define profiles of your employees and also make even journeys for your employees, and really beforehand define what their fears are, so you can anticipate on them in your projects. And that's something I'm definitely going to take home to our projects.
Yeah, and the theme of the conference, of course, was the service design and delivery, and something we saw a lot because of that, I think, was including lean, agile methodology into service design. There were several talks really focusing on that. Mm-hmm. I think that's something we definitely try to do ourselves. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, but I also see a problem appearing there, because it comes from more of an IT background, and people are actually really still implementing it like that. Like they're implementing features and the tickets that they put that had to be finished in their sprint. It's really still like a button that has to be there. And something I heard from, I think it was Chris Ferguson from Bitchable, talking about we shouldn't deliver functionalities in our sprints, but we should deliver flows, and that we should think more of how we can make those flows small bits that we implement, and implement them in a more lean way.
Yeah, it also makes me think of the presentation we just saw of Floor from Coase, where she had a nice metaphor where she took dancing as a metaphor. So you as an agency or as a designer, you have a certain style of dancing which may be very fast and agile, whereas the organization does a slow waltz. And you can't just immediately expect to dance together without stepping on their toes. And I think the agile way of working, for instance, is something that is a bit of a break dance where next to somebody doing a waltz, and we need to respect each other's moves. And
yeah, exactly. And she was actually talking about culture, which everyone knows is important, but on the other hand, I also see a lot of designers that are not quite sure how to deal with that. I'm also not sure if we should totally get into culture and change and those kind of things. But I do think we need to be aware of, should we let other people help us in that, and make sure that we are aware of the problems that it can cause and the opportunities it has to improve a service as well.
Another thing that I heard come back several times in different presentations was also fear. There's lots of different kinds of fear. Fear for working in a new way, fear of interacting with customers, and it's something that I don't think we really explicitly address today, but I think this was a wake-up call for me that is not something to ignore, and that we really need to be aware of fears and think about how to deal with them.
It really needs to become part of your design process, beforehand already, what would be the fears of the employees, but also what would be the fears of the customers, and even in your own design team. I think it's something we have to just see what are they, and then at the same time anticipate on them before we come up with something and it's too late to actually realize that people will not be happy that it's implemented because they're too afraid of some consequences that they might face.
And even learned of a new acronym around fear. We already knew FOMO, fear of missing out, but a new one we just learned was FOBO, fear of becoming obsolete. And that's definitely related with the whole digitization, digital transformation story, where people feel like technology is going to make them obsolete, but no, it's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, and there was also the talk about robotics, that people think their jobs would become obsolete, where actually, it's not really going to be like that. We see it more like a huge opportunity for people to have more meaningful jobs and to not have the repetitive tasks that can be done by a robot, but become a team with a robot and let the humans do the stuff that they like and that they're good at and that they feel happy when doing that in their jobs.
Yeah. So I'm certainly feeling inspired. What are you going to be doing differently on Monday when you come back, Stina?
One thing which is very concrete is designing the jobs of people in the organizations we work for. I think we really have to take that more into account, how we can look at the employees and really see them as, on the one hand, users as well, but on the other hand also as collaborators of implementing and improving services. What about you?
I think a big one, something very practical. We always start our projects with a big kickoff where we really make sure we know the whole team, everybody's involved, we do the stakeholder map. But what I think is really important, that we do that and give ourselves time before the project actually starts. So maybe planning this kickoff 2 weeks before the project starts, so we really do have time to figure out who are the leaders that are involved in this project but not necessarily really connected, so we can take the time to make them aware of what we are doing. And I think that will help projects run even smoother and better if we can do that.
Yeah, and think of connecting to the topic of the conference, the implementation phase, also already at the beginning. Of course, we will not know exactly what comes out and what we will do, but at least we need some questions answered, which I think we're sometimes now forgetting to already take them into account in the beginning, like who's going to be the responsible person for implementing, and where could the budgets come from? Is that already clear? And is the client willing to communicate that to us as a service design consultancy? So that's also something I'm taking home. So I think a lot of stuff that...
Yes, that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Indeed.
Which is a visual we have seen many times on the screens.
Exactly.
During this conversation.
Yes, conference. True.
All right.
Well, so great.
Up next, a few more talks, and I look forward to them.
Yes, and then some Guinness, I would say.
Yes, we're going to try and sample the Irish culture here.
Exactly.
All right. Well, everybody, I hope you're going to enjoy listening to all the chats we had here on the conference floor. We certainly enjoyed it, and hopefully we'll see you next year at the next conference.
Enjoy the talks.
So, hey, we ran into you yesterday. We heard somebody say, "I'm from Belgium," and we looked behind, and it was you, and turned out you were one of the main speakers yesterday. Could you please introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, good afternoon or good morning. So And I'm indeed based in Brussels, and my name is Alok Nandi, and I'm active in the design world for the last 25 years. And I've been through different journeys leading into strategic design, interaction design, service design. And so being now president of IXDA, Interaction Design Association, I was in conversation with SDN to see how can we build synergies and bridges between our design organizations. And that brought me here in Dublin for the global conference.
Yeah, great. And actually yesterday, which was quite exciting, you signed even an agreement together with Birgit to partner up with IXDA. What do you hope to get out of that partnership?
Several things. SDN is looking at the world through the lens of service. IXDA is looking through the lens of interaction, but not only digital interaction, larger ways of interaction between human and human, human and machine, machine and machine. And the way I describe that is we design the stuff in between. Service designer design the stuff so that the service is delivered to, which is, by the way, the theme of this year. Mm-hmm. And if we talk to each other, we make sure that each side of the coin is being designed. In order to do that, we need to make sure that our design members understand that it's interconnected. Mm-hmm. Service design practice and interaction design practice lead to experience design, mm-hmm. in a way, with some strategic design thinking. So to answer to your question, we expect first the design members to understand that they are not alone. But also we want to send a signal to the non-designers, to the commissioning bodies, to the clients, that design is a complex field and that people who are working as designers talk to each other in order to make the system more consistent and coherent. And for that we need to build spaces for conversations between organizations. Mm-hmm. And out of that, it's up to the members to get empowered and share new stories, new collaborations, new opportunities for development.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So you are at the conference here with your IXDA hat on, but I think you have many hats. Which hat do you wear most of the time?
That's a tough question, because I was telling in my keynote yesterday I'm partial and plural. So I try to keep always several hats in parallel. Especially as a designer, it allows to remain awake. Critical making was one of my mantra. In order to be critical, you need to take distance and you need to try to see the world through different facets. And that leads us back to service design, and interaction design is looking at system through different facets. So here I'm essentially there as a service designer, a strategic designer, an interaction designer, and essentially a storyteller. I'm trying to see, okay, how are the stories of design being shared, and how can we push that so that we can become more rigorous in sharing the expertise of design.
Great. We already had 2 talks this morning from Fjords and one from Cork County Council. Is there something that you specifically remembered from the talks that you thought was very insightful?
I would focus on the one provided by the Cork institution. Public service is a very complex terrain, landscape, and we need to have design being empowered in that. And Cork is a good example. And maybe we should see how to bring some Cork people to Ghent and to Antwerp and to Brussels.
Exactly.
And
yes.
we could do something together with them.
Yeah, I found it really inspiring that he started the presentation with "I'm not a service designer," and he has a totally different role, but still, like, the things that we found important, what we do with clients, that he really represented it. And I think that's the most powerful thing, even, that someone in the organization who has a different role is bringing in the importance of service design, interaction design.
And I would add another point in his storytelling, in his presentation. He brought rigor. He was rigorous in sharing some evidence-based elements. and not some design fluffs and empty
Exactly.
method tools.
Yeah, very inspiring indeed, especially because he can just show what the results were, the impact of what they have achieved with service design. So
In 3 years.
yes, so indeed, let's get them and help transform our public services at home. All right, well, thanks a lot. I hear the
Thanks
bell
to you.
for the next talk starting again, and
So enjoy the global conference.
thank you, and see you around.
Thank you.
Hello, guys. We ran into you yesterday. We had a nice chat. Maybe can you introduce yourselves?
Yeah, sure. I'm Mariel Macia, coming from Argentina but living in Germany at the moment.
I'm Florian. I'm from Nuremberg, Germany. Yeah, and we both are from DKDL. This is the Krieger des Lichts. And I'm design director, and Marielle, you are?
The service designer. Yeah. But we are not, the translation in English for the Krieger des Lichts is the Warriors of Light. But we are not a sector any like this.
Yeah, we already found some connection in company name as Night Moves and Krieger des Lichts. There's some similarity there. You are one of the few people here who says, I'm not a service designer.
Yes.
What brought you here?
So my background is graphic design, which I started like 20 years ago. I'm also kind of like an autodidact, so I learned nearly everything I do now by myself. And this is also what brought me here. So I'm interested in various fields. Right now I'm very interested in AI and machine learning and stuff like that. So last talks were great. Like first one was like super awesome for me. And and Marielle brought me here somehow. So she wanted to attend. She's a real service designer, so to say. And she just said I had to come here with her, which is great.
Yeah. As a non-service designer, what do you see as the value of service design, and especially your colleague here? What kind of value is she bringing?
Oh, there's a lot of value. I think I see service design of kind of like the backbone of our organization, of how we work. It's not so much it's a certain discipline you book once or twice, and then it's just all the structure is based on service design. So we have maybe a UX problem, but the way we approach it with the client is based on service design. And that's how we do it somehow. Yeah.
Okay. So we already listened to 2 talks. Is there something that you remembered that you think was already very interesting you would like to share to other people?
Yeah, I think it's kind of everything is really interesting because it's given different perspectives. I kind of very happy about this connection now with the interaction design organization, and especially because of the background that this people is bringing. And since I'm coming also for the film industry, I worked there for many years. Everything that has to be with storytelling and narration and kind of making services over time and all of these ideas that are very connecting with the film industry, I think that is, I kind of like this approach to kind of bring really open and challenge ourselves, not just following one path or one process, but constantly challenging and listening to other approaches. And this I think is the most interesting here.
Yeah, to look beyond service design as well, actually.
Yeah, exactly. And exactly what is really service design? It's just like it's design in general, it is design thinking, it is interaction design, it's everything together. And this is kind of the place to challenge these things.
Great, thank you. I see everyone walking into the rooms again, so let's do that as well. Thank you for your insights.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Enjoy your time still.
Great, thanks.
Hey, we're running into Tim MacArthur. You're one of the local organisers of the conference.
Yeah, I am indeed. Good to see you guys. Like a real big welcome to Dublin.
Great. Can you introduce yourself to the listeners? Who are you and what are you doing in service design world?
Sure. So basically, Tim MacArthur. I'm currently a service designer working for a company called Verizon Connect. So it's connected vehicles, Internet of Things, that sort of stuff. So I've been also the Irish chapter lead for the Service Design Network for the last over a year now at this stage. So it's just excellent to get the opportunity to bring the global conference to Dublin.
Yeah.
So it's just so wonderful to see 800 plus designers from all over the world coming here. So I'm just really, really happy.
Yeah, that's crazy. I have to say, I really admire the people who organize the conference. I think it's such a big organization, like 800 people, one location. How did you do that?
It's like, the HQ team, the headquarters team, they're very, very slick at it. This is the 11th one. There's certain patterns there that they've established, but I think the local team, so much hard work all the way through from January. Like, every Monday evening, meeting for phone calls, that sort of stuff, all the work during the week. So a big shout out to Noel, Niall, Heather and Salome on that work as well. It's just, astounding. So.
You also gave a talk yourself. Could you tell in just a few sentences what was your talk about?
Yeah, well, ultimately, the whole theme of the conference was designing to deliver. So, as designers working with other capabilities, people who do other work, we need to kind of come together and figure out how we actually deliver in that context, deliver with others. So there's a couple of methodologies, there's a couple of frameworks out there that are kind of have gained notoriety or are gaining notoriety. Agile's been around for a while, but lean and service design in a lean context is something that's pretty untapped. So I'm lucky to find myself in an organization that is a lean enterprise. So part of the challenge there was trying to figure out, how do you design in that sort of setup. So yeah, the talk was all about that.
Yeah, it seems to be a big topic actually, like lean, agile and service design, and there's some different opinions about that. Like some people were showing how you can do it really well, otherwise other people were telling the struggles that they're facing, like they're going to look at a really broad view and then they have really difficulties in bringing that back to concrete deliveries. What would your tip be for service designers?
Find friends. Find friends from other capabilities. I think actually Patrick Quattlebaum called it out quite nicely in his talk at the end of yesterday. So really, like, it's not just kind of cross-functional stuff. You really have to find champions from, other churches, almost other kind of like ways of doing things. Show them how you go about things, share your models, and get others to explain what they do, share their models, and hopefully there's some sort of agreement.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and do you get to enjoy the conference yourself? Is it all running around and getting stuff organized?
I did. I got to enjoy it a lot myself. The only pity is that I don't get to talk to as many people as I'd like to get. The days are too short.
Yes. And did you manage to see some talks?
Yeah, I saw some talks. So just came off the back of some interesting ones around design leadership. So Lena was talking about some tips that she had as a kind of an emerging design leader. I thought that was really, really good for a lot of people in the crowd that'll be kind of wondering what are the sort of things I need to do. So I thought that was really, really positive. But yeah, everyone's been really good so far. The quality of the quality of presentation, the quality of the slide work, all that sort of stuff. It's just been really pleasing.
So I hope you have a week off, or at least 1 week of holidays after this conference.
No. No.
You immediately have to start service designing again.
Yeah. Into a plane on Sunday and off to Boston for a week. So so there's no rest for the wicked.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for having a little chat with us, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thanks so much, guys.
And thank you for organizing. Really, thanks for all your effort.
So we're interrupting a conversation here with Floor, who we know as our next door neighbor in the Netherlands. Yeah. And who else is here at the table?
Hi, I'm Pablo. I'm a service designer from Berlin. I work for Neugab Studios.
And I'm Stefan. I'm from Verde.
Great. And actually, Floor, you are going to give a talk. Or did you already give yours? No. In the afternoon, right?
No.
Yes.
In about an hour, I think I'll be more relaxed.
Oh, no. So we catch you at a stressy moment.
Oh, yeah, well, coffee, denial works. Yeah.
What are you going to talk about?
I'm going to talk about how culture eats strategy for breakfast. And if we're not careful, it eats service design for breakfast. So the big C word, culture, of course. And it's going to be about recognizing it, understanding it through other fields of expertise, and then how to deal with it.
Okay, are you going to share some concrete cases?
Yes, but I cannot name the actual companies because, well, they haven't told me that they can, so that I can. So I'm just, but yeah, we know them, of course.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm really curious now.
Yeah. And Stefan, we saw a really interesting talk of you as well yesterday. Could you, in a few sentences, summarize what you talked about?
I talked about humanizing the future of work. And about that, in many organizations we are facing this future that we don't really know what is coming. It's like technology is a little bit scary, there's anxiety. But the real problem is that people are not engaged at work. Like more than 70% around the world don't really feel energized to go to work, and I think that's quite sad and tragic. So I talked about the 4 shifts we need to make to be more human-focused. That is important to get ahead of that change and to really shape it rather than wait for it to come. And the belief that humans are amazing and we can use technology to be better humans. And I think it's quite exciting for the service design community because many of the tools and mindsets we have can really help make this happen.
Yeah, I think your talk seemed to really resonate with a lot of the people in the audience. I think as service designers, we end up going to lots of different workplaces, and it's recognizable to see these involved people there. So.
Yes. And we know that there is a strong link between great customer experience back to great employee experience. And in a way, service design has always looked at what is behind the stage and what are the roles and how do we make it happen. But I think we can make a much more distinct effort to really empower people and instill innovation in a way that really taps into the human powers. Not just digitize everything, but humanize it.
I couldn't agree more, because one of the cases we will be discussing is how with the telco we did an employee journey for redesigning basically the HR department and where was to be their worth within an agile context. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I totally agree that this is a very important thing to do.
Yeah. That it's also the role of the service designer to actually think about that and to help organizations in that transformation. Yes.
And first of all, start caring, because most designers I know, I'm going to be a bit generalizing here, but they just want to create great stuff, and then the culture, no, not so much. And basically, what we're saying, you have to start caring to some degree, or accept that you're not being implemented.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's actually a story I sometimes share, which I'm a little bit ashamed of, but we have been doing some projects with clients and we try to help them in their job, and then we already had it a couple of times now that they told us like, oh yeah, and I also want to do more of this creative stuff, but I don't get the space, and then they leave the organization. So I got really interested in that as well, and I really think we should help them become like the champions in the organization and help them to be able to make that change.
But just to build on that, I mean, if you ask leaders, there is a survey that 90% of leaders believe the future of work is a top issue for the next 2 years, like to really solve, and only 10% feel equipped to deal with it. And I think culture is one of the things that people don't factor in so much, because you look at, okay, we need these skills. Like, in our company, there are 400 roles we need to fill, otherwise we are dead. And they know that. Mm-hmm. And so they're focusing on talent acquisition and making slides in the lobby and fruit bowls to look a little bit like Google and Facebook and try to be attractive. But they don't think about how it is then the experience when people come into our insurance company. Yeah. How do we make our people feel proud that now these people from Facebook also work here? How do we make the people from Facebook feel we want to work in this insurance company?
Couldn't agree more. That I think you call it window dressing or putting lipstick on a pig. People feel it, if it's genuine or not. So
and the other thing is, you don't think often about the people that you want to leave. And if you take care of the people that can leave in a really great way, it makes it easier for people you want to keep to stay.
That's an interesting thing I never thought about, actually, because it is a very uncomfortable moment if that happens for the other colleagues.
But I think to me it's about being thoughtful, being inclusive, dealing with this in a designer way, and see it as an experience, because it's very personal. People have different expectations, different personalities. And it's really important to tackle it like that, rather than sit around with PowerPoint and numbers and skill profiles.
Yeah, I was actually part of a workshop of Cork yesterday, and what they literally did in that workshop, they gave us like a profile of a civil servant, and they let us like think of what the role of this person in the organization is and what kind of fear this person has and how they as a organization can help them in improving their job. So that was already a great example of how they are applying it.
Yeah, I'm working in a quite young service design agency that has been growing really fast, and I believe that also this new work or the culture at work is also something that should rather be co-designed than really top-down planned. So even if executives now they say, okay, it's a top priority, I think it's important that you cannot put the recipe from the very top, but also it has to be co-designed, or you have to leave some freedom that it evolves, and that might be one success factor.
It's a two-way street, because you have to get the leadership to create the environment, the context in which the things that happen from top down, bottom up, have a chance to grow. So you need, not a catch-22, but the positive version of it. So you need both, a yin and yang, for it in order to work. And to come back to your point about the quirk thing, in workshop they addressed barriers, inhibiting thoughts and behavior and idea, and they created solutions for it, and thus not only creating driving forces, for instance like a CX lab or something of the sort, but also taking care of the inhibiting or restraining forces that might be there.
Yeah, and also creating the mindset that you can say, this is a problem I have, and I want to think of a solution. I think that's really important as well. Yeah. Wow,
right.
Great.
Lots of
what
food
a
for
nice
thought.
interview we had here.
Okay, thanks guys on the floor, especially you. Good luck with your talk in a moment. And see you all later.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Hello, can we disturb you for a moment?
This is for the podcast.
Yes, it is.
So we're here with Tina and
Anna Luisa.
Yes, and you both given a talk here at the conference. How was it for you? Are you glad it's over and enjoying the conference now?
Exactly that, yeah. Happy that it's over, because, I mean, the nerves build up a little bit, of course. But it was very cool to do it as well. And I'm proud that we did it, and it landed well. So, but now laying back and relaxing, having a chat with everybody. Yeah, it's good.
You deserve it. Can you explain a little bit what your talk was about?
So I work at LiveWork, and I presented a case yesterday with one of our clients, Adidas, where we showed the audience what it's like to be in a digital transformation and how we are introducing customer-centric approach in their agile way of working, and we showed what we're learning from it and how our journey has been so far. Yeah.
And Tina, could you also briefly say what your talk was about?
I did a big research about service design implementation, and I wanted to share the most important learnings that I learned doing that, that really kind of enriched my understanding about organizations. So I think I'm now more sensitive what's happening. I mean, I don't think I realize everything that's happening, but at least it helps me. Yeah.
What I liked about your talk is that you did a lot of research, but you managed somehow to just present some very clear results and some insights for service designers. So I have a feeling that you're a service designer as well, and you kind of use your skills to actually do the research there.
Yes and no. I think that was because I was presenting with Birgit. I mean, she's so experienced, and so we were working on the focus of the talk. Yeah, so I think her experience helped a lot to really focus and make sure, is this something that really helps support service designers? And that was the big things, don't talk about whatever, just talk about the things that connect to the audience, to the people that might use it.
And you did your talk together with somebody from Adidas. I think it's always a good sign when agency and client are able to present something like that together. Do you really feel like a true team working on that project?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I was just talking about this with Tina as well. So we're the consultant, and then Adidas is our client, of course, and our relationship is really quite special. And also yesterday we took the time, Adidas and ourselves, to build our relationship even further, and we even literally discussed we don't see each other as being from different companies, but we're just two human beings trying to achieve the same goal. And so I would say we're definitely a team. Yeah,
I think that's very important, to trust each other and to know that you work towards one goal and that you don't have your own like achievements that you want to make in your own organization, but that you can kind of go beyond that part, which I think for a lot of people is quite a struggle. So.
All right. Well, thanks for taking a few minutes for us, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Yeah, enjoy.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So we were walking the floor on the conference, and we're on the market at the moment, and I see here the guys from Experience Fellow. Hey, how are you doing?
Hi, we're doing well. Great conference so far, really enjoying it.
Yeah, are people interested in what you're sharing today?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's the biggest SDGC that we've been on. A lot of new people here, new faces, some familiar, some old friends. But yeah, it's really cool to see that all those things are on the rise even more this year, and we're really enjoying it so far.
Can you explain a little bit what you're showing here at the conference?
Sure. We brought two different tools that we're developing at Modern Metrics. One is Experience Fellow. It's a research app that combines a mobile app for customers to report on their experiences, mobile ethnography methodology behind it, and a customer journey mapping tool called SmapPlay. That's basically our two main products. And always happy to present those here.
And what's the feedback so far from the audience?
Oh, very good, very good, very good. Especially as we seem to have some old fans that are regularly showing up. We're having all those fancy stickers. They're looking for this year's edition, kind of. So also that one pays off.
Well,
no, but yeah.
I do see one sticker that I'm very excited about. Like you have a rubber chicken sticker. Can you explain what is the story behind this sticker?
The rubber chicken. I think the rubber chicken is the icon in service design, isn't it? So, and we brought the rubber chicken basically as a temporary tattoo. So have some open eyes here and have a look. Some people already applied those, and yeah.
I'm totally gonna do that.
You should.
We're going to be taking those tattoos, yes.
Great.
So, are you speaking at the conference, one of you guys?
Yes. Jacob is, who's next to me, is doing the closing keynote tomorrow. We're looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And what is he speaking about?
Maybe you ask Jacob himself.
Oh, and here we have Jacob. Can you tell us a little bit more on the Service Design Podcast, what you will be speaking about tomorrow?
Yes, I'm talking together with Marcus Hormus, who, again, together with Mark Sticktorn and Adam Lawrence, wrote the book, This is Service Design Doing. And we're talking about the limits of iterations, as we call it. We call it Doing is the hard part, or the 12 Commandments of Service Design. You might have known it. Will be fun, I think. We have some videos from other people that are around here, and we hope it will be a good closing keynote.
All right, so that's great. We wish you all the luck, guys, and enjoy the conference.
Thanks, bye.
All right. Hey, we just ran into you. Could you please introduce yourself to the listeners?
Hi, so my name is Annina Antenranta, and I'm here to run workshops today.
Okay, and what are they about?
It's about machine learning for everyone, especially for service designers today.
Okay, and where are you from yourself? Which company?
We are from Futurize. I'm here with my colleague. Yep.
Okay.
And which country do you represent today?
I'm representing Finland, but we are an international company. We have offices in many locations.
Okay. I think there's many people from Finland at the conference.
There is, yeah.
Did you already see the talks this morning?
Unfortunately, no, because we already had a workshop this morning to
really?
run. So, but I really want to see tomorrow all these program and talks.
Yeah. Is there something specific you're looking forward to?
I think there's a lot of interesting stuff. So let's see. Yeah. I haven't decided yet.
Yeah. And you already did a workshop, or you're still doing one in the...
Yeah, we did one in the morning, and now we are doing one in 1 hour.
And can you explain a little bit more what it was about? Like, what did you do, and what were the reactions of the people?
So we have this, we created this toolkit called Intelligence Augmentation Toolkit, Design Toolkit, and it's available online for everybody, basically. And we are using it today in our workshops. So it's basically, we come up with service concepts, and we are adding some kind of like smart system there.
And if I'm not mistaken, you're one of the entries for the service design competition.
Yes, that's correct.
All right, so that's exciting as well.
Exactly. So let's see
best of luck for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Well, enjoy the next session that you'll be giving and the rest of the conference.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Bye bye.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Christine, you're running away from us. And here we are with Christine from SDN.
Yes.
Another conference. How's it going?
It's going really well. We're really happy. A lot of people. Super exciting. We're really happy with the results so far.
Yeah, the location is amazing.
Yes, we love it. We can also see from here, like if it's raining or not. So
whether we should get out or not.
Yes.
So how did you enjoy the conference so far?
I was at the keynote and also in 2 of the talks during the track 2 this morning. And in the afternoon, I hope to also see some other presentations.
Yes. You enjoyed it so far?
Yes, good insights. People from all of the world, so it's really nice.
Great. Are you looking forward to a specific talk tomorrow or just an event that would be happening? Or?
The award ceremony. Yes, so I'm looking forward to see who is going to win this year.
Oh, yes, we do too.
We just spoke to somebody who made the augmentation toolkit. I think they're one of the entries, so they're excited about the competition as well tomorrow. So always good.
Well, enjoy this dessert you have here. It looks really amazing. And we will see you around.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
My name is Adriana Ojeda. I'm from the Mexican chapter. It's pretty new. I think we're from the newest. We've been existing since January.
That is indeed very recently one of the many new additions in the last year.
And what about you? How long have you been?
Oh, we're with the
I'm interviewing you now.
with the Belgian chapter. We're about to have our 1-year anniversary, so also quite new, but going strong and enjoying it.
It has been a lot of work. I'm with my colleague Priscilla. You met her yesterday, I think. We started like drinks, like service design drinks, and then we were like, yeah, we need to create something more formal, so we decided to create a chapter. And it has been okay. I think the people don't know in Mexico what is service design. They only know design thinking, you know? So at the beginning it was more like, what are we doing? But with the drinks, I think everyone goes to the events. We have a forum about 200 people for each event, which is very good for Mexico City. Like 200 people each event. Yeah, it's a lot of people. There's a lot of UX designers and also like graphic designers, industrial, and then we are moving to another public which is more like business people and more, you know, companies and other areas.
And what would you say are the real challenges that service design has to conquer in Mexico?
Wow, a lot. We are like, I don't know, 100 years ahead from you. We need first people to know the value of design. And he's also a member of the Mexican chapter.
Okay, hey, what's your name?
Roberto. I think that service design should also be oriented into people, not users. People is, for me, is more appropriate. And sometimes we miss the purpose, talking about objectives and metrics and goals. So design should be also oriented in designing purposes for organizations and for projects. Yeah.
Totally agree with that. Well, what did you think of this conference so far? Was there something you remembered already from the first speakers or the first workshop?
I like how they are like combining different methodologies, like more talking about lean and agile with CX and UX and service design and how everything can add value to the organization.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also one thing that sticks to my mind that really resonates with what we have been living lately is that service design is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And I think that that's something really valuable to have in mind, because sometimes we think that we need to make changes like fast, but sometimes we think we need to think in a longer term. Yeah.
And good luck with building out your chapter. Bye.
Hello again.
Hello. We're
To two familiar faces, Alex and Sarah from Snoop. Could you tell us a little bit more how you enjoyed the conference so far?
Just arrived. Well, not just arrived. I had a really good morning. I really enjoyed seeing Lucy, Chief Executive Board. I think having a leader stand up and really talk about service design at that level was fantastic. then self-indulgently been helping my colleague run a workshop on data, which was challenging. I think we tried to cover so much about data and how service design was tough, but they loved it.
Yeah, even if you've only just arrived, you've been very present through all the people from Cork County Council. I think they're the inspiring highlight of the conference so far. So good job there.
It's great to see that they are actually presenting here themselves as almost experts in and really like educating the service designers here on how they can do service design, which is amazing, I think.
We were just talking about almost the competitive nature of public service, or more specifically the county councils here in Ireland, which is very exciting to watch. Whereas I think in the UK, it's almost in England and Scotland, I think in particular, it's much more about sharing everything. So it'd be interesting to see maybe in a few years' time which is the more successful model in a way.
What I remembered from the talk was that it's a really strong thing to build this, maybe a little bit of competition and people saying that they're the best themselves and that they really do a great job and people know why they do such a great job. And I have a feeling that works really well at Cork because
I think there's a huge cultural component as well, and so the context of what works in the country. So I'd be interesting to understand what that might look like in Germany, for instance, or elsewhere. The same problems exist, I think, in many places. Lack of funding, the increased complexity of needs of citizens, but everywhere is approaching it in a slightly different way. But then I'm thankful for using design to help address some of those challenges.
Is that actually something you really worked on at Cork, to build that kind of image of themselves?
Like a competitive image? No, not really. Actually, my main focus for Cork was to look at how they can better bring the proponents, the principles of design in-house, and really look at how they can improve the customer experience and the user experience. I think what they've had to do, as Alex said, is build a kind of brand and a competitive nature, which really, I think, drives them forward. It's a really good vision for them. But no, my focus wasn't that. That's the focus of the leadership. My focus was fundamentally on rolling up the sleeves, getting out and talking to customers and citizens, and just making stuff better.
Yeah, and that's what I see coming back in their stories is the feet on the ground, pragmatic nature of service design. It doesn't have to take ages. Sometimes in a few weeks you can improve something tremendously.
I think that's a theme that I've been seeing over the last months, even years, that speed to market and maybe not dwelling too much on some of the complex tools, if you like, realizing that it's about the outcome, not the output, and realizing some values super quickly. And I think sometimes we can maybe a little bit slow. I don't know.
I would say I was at a conference last week. It's non-competitive to this conference, and one of the workshops I ran, this guy who works in an agency said we often do design flim-flam. And I asked him what he meant by that, and he said, well, we spend so long producing the artifacts to show what we've done, but it's not the measures. We forget the purpose of what we those do. And recently, we just went with a charity called Ad Action in the UK. Because their leadership is really skilled in what design is, they give us 2 weeks to improve the service. Literally 2 weeks to take the service that's failing its users signing up to try and get an outcome. And we got it. In less than 2 weeks, we made changes on the 3rd day and just didn't dwell on over-producing what we call design flim-flam. Still makes everything.
Building on that, I think our breed of design has often and almost exclusively relied upon the research to be the inspiration. And I think if we used to work in maybe an ad agency or a graphic design consultancy years ago, that was oftentimes more about your personal inspiration and your gut instinct. And I can almost imagine a time where we've got the experience, we've been designing services for 10 years or so, we've come across this challenge before, we begin to instinctively know what the solutions are going to be based on our experience. And I think it's that classic thing about knowing the rules before you can break them, I guess.
And I just think that's a confidence now in the industry. I think that's where we really need to go. I mean, we were just talking earlier about where design needs to grow up, and I just think we need to get to that point where we're absolutely confident in our skill set rather than questioning it and relying too heavily on research to validate.
So just showing up here as well is Jamin Hageman. I'm wondering, I think when we're talking about design maturity of an organization, I'm sure that's something you can fill in. What are your thoughts about what she was just saying?
About design maturity? Well, I'm just listening to you guys. I both agree and disagree. I think if with experience you might be able to make those judgments, but I also think that she was making some points that are dangerous and like, oh, you don't need the time. And I think sometimes you do need the time, and it also requires experience to decide when you need the time. And for a lot of people new to design or service design, and there's a lot of people that are not designers to start, they can hear those kind of stories and think like, oh, they did it in like 2 weeks. We can do it too.
Yeah, it's probably more about challenging your own way of working and thinking like, okay, so we do it normally in 6 months, but what could we do in 3 months and add value? And of course you will explore more things during those 3 weeks, what else you could do in the long run.
But I think going back to maturity, I mean, if you've got the expertise, a lot of people, I like using the chef metaphor, right? And we heard this yesterday at Members Day. You can follow a recipe, or if you're a chef, you might say like, okay, we want you to make this, but here's the thing, you only have these ingredients, or you only have this amount of time. Like, well, you can do that because you have that experience. If you don't, you just be like, I can't, or it's going to just be poor.
I think that's a good point. Well, thank you three. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference, and see you around. Hello, Chris. How's it going?
Yeah, great. How are you?
Yeah.
I just noticed that my cable is like not long enough to reach your height.
You know, you need universal design challenge here, making the.
So we bumped into Chris Ferguson from Original.
For his three-peat on the podcast.
Third time. All right.
How are you enjoying the conference so far?
Yeah, really, really enjoying it. Lovely to be here in Ireland, which is such a friendly, welcoming place. And the content this morning so far was really great. Yeah. For me, I think this morning, seeing these intersections of agile and service design and people really thinking about how do you develop a product, and get clients out of thinking about this idea of product as just being a piece of software to more of a service experience. I love that, seeing that this morning, so that was great.
Yeah, the agile way of working seems to be something which is already coming back from yesterday as well, and today.
Yeah.
Probably because it's linked to the topic, delivery. What do you think?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it makes sense. If you're actually trying to build things and you're thinking about who has been successful and the methodologies that are successful in bringing things to market, then there's a lot to learn from software development and bringing things into market. So, yeah. But I loved, there was a thing earlier, don't ship features, ship journeys, which really resonated with me, and thinking about, so much of that methodology and the thinking around it is very much focused on thinking about, very myopically about software and software features, not really thinking about that end-to-end experience. And I think this technocentrism really gets away from really understanding the complexity of, human experience, and service design has so much to offer in that regard. So it's nice to see people really hybridizing the methodologies to incorporate these thoughts. So, yeah.
Oh, I think you were about to have a coffee with this gentleman, maybe. Yeah, can you introduce yourself to the listeners, please?
Sure, yeah. My name is David Dunn. I'm a professor at the University of Victoria in Canada. And I'm a business professor. And so for a number of years, I've been working with design and learning about design and trying to introduce that to business.
Okay, great. So Canada represent.
Yeah, that's right. Also very involved in the Service Design Network in Canada, and just recently wrote a great book about design and some of the tensions of bringing it into organizations.
Yeah, because people talk a lot about the great things about service design. Not that many people talk about how challenging it can be in a real world organization, and there's some real cultural challenges that people come up with, and it's worth talking about some of those. Yeah, it is. I have a title. It's called Design Thinking at Work. and it's just being published now, so it's available on Amazon, so you can find it. Right.
That sounds a very relevant topic.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of interest in it, so I think people will be interested.
How do you like the conference so far?
Oh, lovely! I'm actually from Ireland myself, so I'm amazed at the conference centre. And the speakers have been very high quality. I loved in particular the two keynotes this morning. Lorna's talk was great and about the technology, and that was fun. The Cork one was just amazing. I mean, the stuff they're able to do, and Cork is. It's not a big place. It's a big county in Ireland, but it's not a big place, and it's a local government, and they really have been punching above their weight with it. It's wonderful.
It's a great example.
Yeah. And speaker after speaker has been saying, and he said this too, that you really need to deal with the internal issues before you do anything else. And that's what the book is about, by the way. So it's about what are those internal issues.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
A recurring topic today also seems to be about the lean, agile way of applying service design. Is that something that fits into your topic on business?
Not directly. I've done a little bit of work in comparing lean and agile, and to me the big, there's a lot of similarities obviously in terms of the pace and the nature of the work. But what designers do that agile practitioners typically don't is they spend a lot of time framing the problem and really going around and saying, what's the real issue, what's the real problem we're dealing with? So it's a step backwards from the agile process. It's like agile is very good if you have a defined problem and you want to solve it really well. So, yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, and it's actually the other point where it does come into my book is that methods like agile, they're tough to make work in an organization, because in an organization, same with my students, that people want to get from A to B as quickly as they can, and they lose a lot of patience if we're sort of a third way down the road and we're saying, oh, we're really solving the right problem, let's go back, or the research says this and we've got to iterate around it, and so that can be very frustrating for people who aren't used to it. Yeah.
Okay, and. You were saying that you checked your genealogy, and it turns out you are like 50% Irish. Is that right?
Indeed, as of very recently, half Irish, as it turns out.
So as a real Irishman, do you think how does he stand up as an Irishman?
He stands up very tall as an Irishman, actually. Yeah, that's right. Now you don't have a camera on him, but he's 6'5", so yeah, right.
All right. Well, enjoy the conference, guys, and we'll keep the eye out for your book.
Nice to talk to you, and
Bye.
The conference.
Yeah,
take care.
Bye. The Service Design Podcast was brought to you by the Service Design Network and Night Moves. For more information, previous episodes, or to join the conversation, please visit servicedesignpodcast.com. For more information about the Service Design Network, visit service-design-network.org, and for Night Moves, visit nightmoves.be. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing to this podcast. The intro and outro music is from If the Stars Grow Dim Tonight by Hydrogen Sea featuring I Will, I Swear. Until next time.